They had 5 official visits on the weekend. Kofi Wardlow, defensive end out of Washington, D.C. Notre Dame has a pretty big need at defensive end. They got 4 defensive ends last cycle, but they're looking to restock the shelves there, so to speak. Kofi Wardlow right now is committed to Maryland. He's going to be visiting Virginia Tech this weekend. He really enjoyed his visit at Notre Dame. He's a high academic kid, so it makes a lot of sense for him to come to Notre Dame. Also, we've got Russ Yeast, an in-state guy, and you ask any hardcore Notre Dame fan, and they're wondering why they didn't offer him earlier. There's a big chance he probably would be committed to Notre Dame right now had they. There's been a big crossover with coaching staff, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, receivers coach, linebackers coach, quarterback coach. So they've kind of set their sights on some new positions and new players. Russ Yeast is Under Armour All-American. Plays corner and receiver and running back. Rushed for over 1,500 yards. They're looking for him to play cornerback. And Russ Yeast visited as well. He's looking at possibly taking another visit to Notre Dame, an unofficial visit, given that he lives close. Right now, he's committed to Louisville, but that may change. Trey Norwood was a player, if you'd asked me, I would have said he's the best bet to choose Notre Dame. He came and visited. He plays a corner. He's out of Arkansas, and everything looked really good. Notre Dame players were commenting on Twitter that Norwood was the done deal. Went back to his home, and he committed to Oklahoma. So that closes things up with him. Jordan Genmark Heath out of San Diego, California. Plays strong safety. Notre Dame's looking at him to possibly play the rover position. I really like him. He's made a jump in rankings. He's now a 4-star player. He visited Notre Dame on the weekend. Looks like right now it's between them and Cal, who he's currently committed to. Evan Fields was also on the trip. He really loves the recruiting scene. He's from Arizona. He's considered an Arizona State lean. But considering he's considering so many teams, it's really hard to get a read on him. He's a safety as well. Right now, Myron, I have to pronounce this right, Tagovailoa, is a defensive end, defensive tackle out of Hawaii. He arrived in Notre Dame today. He's on a bit of a trip across the country where he's visiting Navy and Vanderbilt as well. Like a lot of Hawaiian players, he's leaning towards USC. But his family is really into him getting a good education, which is always a good thing for Notre Dame. Tonight also, Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa, sorry, hard to pronounce that one. He's an outside linebacker out of safety from Virginia. He's definitely fits the bill to play their new rover position. You watch his highlight film, I'll tell you, you'll be some impressed. He makes big play after big play. He's definitely another candidate to play the rover position. He's a Virginia commit right now, but they're working really hard to flip him. Brian Kelly visited him at his school. Clark Lee as well, the linebackers coach. Mac Hippenhammer, wide receiver out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is where Jalen Smith is from. He's committed to Penn State right now. Notre Dame is looking to get him to take an official visit to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is his dream school. He took an unofficial visit to Notre Dame about a week ago. Tonight, Chip Long, the offensive coordinator, Brian Kelly, and Delvon Alexander, the new wide receiver coach, were all in to visit him. They're looking to secure an official visit for this weekend. They really need to add an outside receiver. They have only a slot receiver committed right now. Also at receiver, there's Oliver Martin. He's out of Iowa. He's considering Iowa and Michigan State, but this last week he got offers from Auburn, Florida, and Ohio State. So right now it's really difficult to see where he's going to go. He's a top 100 player. He's an Army All-American, and he would fill a big need at receiver for Notre Dame. Also, there's Jafar Armstrong, wide receiver out of Kansas. He's committed to Missouri. 6 foot, 205. Very athletic, a little bit raw, but with some coaching, he's going to be a really good player. They're putting the full court press on this kid as well, and he will be visiting Notre Dame on Friday and staying through to the weekend, through the weekend. Right now, if you'd like to have a look at the class that they have currently committed, I feel like most of them are firm. I don't see any of them as flip candidates right now, looking around, taking a visits elsewhere. We've got 10 4-star players and 5 3-star players. Considering they were 4 and 8 last year, sitting with the number 12 247 class, that's pretty decent. But as you know, it's really hard to make Notre Dame fans happy. So if you go through the message boards, you'll hear a lot of Notre Dame's a dumpster fire and fire Brian Kelly kind of talk, but I don't see it that way. Brock Wright, the number 1 tight end in the country out of Texas. He was a captain at the Under Armour All-America camp, 2 catches for 45 yards and a 2-point conversion. A lot of times at those camps, the tight ends aren't targeted very much, so those are really good stats. Deion Sanders was at the Under Armour All-America camp and tweeted out that Brock Wright will be playing one day on Sundays. Also, they've got Cole Kmet, the number 3 tight end, so they're loaded with tight ends. They're going to get back to that status of tight end university. Out of Illinois, he's 6'5", 252, and all of it. I've seen pictures of it. He's a big kid, excellent receiver, really good in the blocking game. It's going to be really tough to keep those guys off the field this year. New offensive coordinator Chip Long, who comes in, plays a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets. He ran in Memphis. So he likes to kind of provide mismatches out there and take advantage of defenses. So look for those guys to maybe see the field this year. Also, probably the crown jewel of this class would be Darnell Ewell, defensive tackle out of Virginia. He's 6'3", 300 pounds, and you have a look at this kid. He looks like an NFL defensive tackle. He bench presses well over 400 pounds. Is a huge motor. His offer list includes Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, you name it. Any of the top schools were after him, and after him hard. I look for him to probably crack the roster in the top 2 this year. He'll probably see the field. They need help along their front 7. Kinsey, offensive lineman out of IMG Academy. He's a top 100 player. He's an Under Armour All-American as well. Had a really good camp there. Played left tackle at IMG Academy, and this year he would have practiced against Robert Beal and Josh Kando, who are both 5-star commits. And he did very, very well in the prep start circuit. Josh Lugg is also one of the top players for Notre Dame currently committed. He just took a ratings jump with 247 up to number 84. He's an Army All-American. He really dominates out there, 6'7", 300 pounds. And he definitely has room to grow. His ceiling is extremely high. Brian Driscoll of Rivals ranks him as Notre Dame's number 1 commit. They really like him. He committed really early in the process and has helped out a lot on Twitter and that with recruiting other players. To round out the rest of the class, I'll just go through them fairly quickly, as I know this is going to be your last haul here. Avery Davis at quarterback from Texas. C.J. Holmes, running back of Cheshire Academy in Connecticut. He had Alabama offers, Tennessee, UCLA. He's definitely a very talented running back to help out with their stable. Aaron Banks, another top 150 Rivals player. He's 6'7", 315 pounds, an early enrollee. He projects to play guard at Notre Dame, but he played tackle in high school and was pretty decent. It's out of El Cerrito, California. Dylan Gibbons is a big bully out of Florida, 6'5", 315 pounds. Like I mentioned last time I was on your show, he plays for Mike Allstott, ex-NFL fullback. Dylan Gibbons definitely looks like he's going to be a decent player down the line, playing for Harry Heastan, one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. Kurt Hinish, defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh, 80 pounds. He flew under the radar a little bit, but he's been to some rival camps, and he was an MVP defensive lineman at one of them. Jonathan McAllister, he's their lone defensive end. He's about 6'4", 250 pounds. Plays tight end in high school as well, so he's quite athletic. Notre Dame really likes him. He's a former teammate of Parker Boudreaux, and he'll be coming into Notre Dame, and he'll probably get in the mix right away given their current depth. Drew White, inside linebacker out of St. Thomas Aquinas, Florida 7'8", All-State All-Star. He's flew under the radar a little bit as well, given his size, sitting at around 215, 220 pounds. But I'll tell you, he's a very technical running back, a lot of speed. He just needs probably a good solid year in the strength and conditioning program to get his size up. Isaiah Robertson is going to be playing free safety at Notre Dame. He's also an early enrollee out of Illinois, 4-star player. And Michael Young, their one wide receiver commit right now. He's going to play in the slot out of Louisiana. Big hitting, gritty kid. So that sort of wraps up the scene with Notre Dame right now. And like I said, it's a pretty darn good class given the season that they had last year.
All right, Kevin. So we talked for the first time just the other night. We can see the decor behind you. You are a lifelong Notre Dame diehard fan. You got 30 seconds. Give us your best 30 seconds to tell us why Brian Kelly can sell this program as something special. These kids have not seen Notre Dame win at the level that we saw in the 70s and 80s, except for a few spots here and there, getting to a national title game a few years ago against Alabama. So it's not the Notre Dame that we're accustomed to seeing winning 10 and 12 football games a year. So why is Notre Dame still special? Notre Dame is an American brand. They're one of those schools where there's fans all over the country. You can come in and get a top-notch education. The city of South Bend lives and breathes Notre Dame. The city of South Bend is Notre Dame. The history there, the rich tradition, the fans. They produce NFL football players every year. They're one of the top draftable schools every year. The alumni base at Notre Dame is definitely key to that. When you graduate from Notre Dame, you're set for life with your education. Kevin Sinclair from Slap the Sign. That's on the Fansided Network for Notre Dame Athletics. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us and wrapping things up here on College Football Coast to Coast. Okay, thanks a lot for having me, Mark. Look forward to it again. All right, I'm Mark Rogers of Mark Rogers TV. We come your way with College Football Coast to Coast every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. This has been our recruiting special, and join us next week for National Signing Day as we will blow it out once again. For my director, Marty McPadden, enjoy your week, track those recruits, and we will see you back here next Wednesday.